Welcome all. Let's move ahead today with our second part, and there's the last part of lesson 1 social studies, rise of British rule in India. Now in this table you can clearly see Dalhousie's policy of annexation. Annexation means merger, to add up. So various Indian kingdoms were taken hold of or brought under the British control by Dalhousie's policy. And here the first one you can see is he annexed Punjab and Pegu by waging a war. Then in the second part you can see that Satara, Jaitpur, Sambalpur, Udaipur in MP, Jhansi, Bhagat, Nagpur, these all were annexed due to the king dying without the heir. Now heir means the one who is legally allowed to take over the position of the one who dies. Position, that is, it could be throne or the money or property. So but it is legal. So here he took away the property of those kingdom where the king died without any next generation. He also took away the kingdom of Awadh under the wrong reason of that the king of Awadh doesn't manage his kingdom properly. So he annexed it on the pretext of mismanagement. Then Nizam's region was taken over by giving the reason that he didn't give his or he didn't repay the debt. And then there was Karnataka and Tanjore where he annexed them to end a namesake rule. That is, namesake means just for the sake of the kings were carrying forward with their rule. So he took away those properties also. So these were all baseless reason, but yet he carried out this policy and he was successful. Now beside being an imperialist, once again let me remind you, imperialist means those countries which are powerful and you can say very much rich, and they take away the property of a country that is rich but weak. So this is known as imperialism. So besides being an imperialist, Dalhousie was also reformist. Reformist means who brings some changes in the society. The first railway line in India was laid down between Mumbai and Thane, 1853. Wireless system also was started between India and England. Establishment of PWD, that is Public Work Department, also was during Dalhousie's time. English education was also started or introduced during his time period, that is tenure. He passed laws to ban child marriage and he publicly recommended, that is advocated, widow remarriage. That is, child marriage should be stopped and widow remarriage should be allowed. And within 100 years from the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the British rule and the empire both expanded. But in this process of taking over the whole of Indian regions, the Britishers had to face dissatisfaction of the Indian states, and this was clearly shown, that is manifested in the form of first struggle for independence in 1857. So what was the result of the dissatisfaction of the Indian states against Britishers? That they carried out the struggle for independence in 1857. Now, due to various policies of this East India Company in India, let's see its economic impact. Economic impact means related to monetary impact. When we evaluate means when you just form an idea of some amount or number. So when we evaluate, simple words, when you go through the past 100 years of company rule in India, what do we realize? That India, which had an enviable position in the world. Enviable means anybody could feel jealous about. In the previous centuries, became today only a country that produces raw material for England and a rich market for goods produced in factories. It means that country, that is India, which was famous as Sone ki Chidiya in the world because of its richness in all the fields. But under British rule, what happened under this company rule? They or Indian people became only a part of like producing raw material for English factories, and second, they became a market to buy the goods from the Britishers that were produced in their factories. Now Bengal exported what all things? That is cotton cloth, raw silk, sugar, jute, muslin. But after dual, that is double power policy, the shine or the glitter of the economic richness in Bengal started fading, that is, it got destroyed. Now, this double power policy or Dvimukhi Shasan was introduced for the first time in Bengal, whereby the power of collecting tax was with the Britishers, while the responsibility to solve the people's problem or to look after the people's welfare was in the hands of Nawab, that is the king of that region. It means British got the power of collecting tax, but they had no responsibility. On the other hand, Nawab had lots of responsibility but no power to collect the tax. This was known as dual power policy. You need not write subsidiary alliance system over here. And this Dvimukhi Shasan, it destroyed Bengal monetarily, that is economically. Now this unfair, that is improper tax collection policy by the company made the Indian artisans, farmers, everyone, that is peasant, a debtor. Debtor matlab qarzdar. The British government started imposing, that is putting or laying unfair taxes on Indian cloth industries. So we were being destroyed more and more every time. They adopted various fraud, that is deceitful practices to ruin, that is to destroy the rich Indian industries. So they started cheating us, because of which our industries collapsed, that is shut down, destroyed. The Indian artisan became poor and unemployed. The company traders forced the weavers of Bengal to sign some contracts where they had to provide fixed quantity of cloth but in a short time period. If the weaver refused to do so, he would be punished by being lashed, matlab चाबुक से मारना या फिर to hit them with a lot of force, or he was imprisoned, that is jailed. Before the arrival of the company, however, our Indian villages were very much happy, self-dependent, that is self-reliant, and rich, thus prosperous, developed in all the matters on its own. But under the company rule, they became dependent and poor. And during the rule of East India Company, the first railway line between Mumbai and Thane and steamer service between India and England also was started, due to which some of the ports of India were highly developed by them, that is ports in Mumbai, Madras and Kolkata. And now let's see what was the social effect or what was the effect of company rule on our Indian society. During the British rule, the spirit of freedom of speech and thought developed among people due to the development of newspapers. That is, as Britishers came over here, now they were going to stay here. So they had newspaper system in their country. So they brought the same system over here. They developed the press and all. And through this, there was a freedom A small freedom though it was given to us to express our thought through newspapers. In the Indian society, very many wrong social evils were carried out, like some social customs, rites and rituals, that is riti rivas, were existing during this time, like sati system, female infanticide, that is killing a girl child if born, then child marriage. All these were wrong system carried out. Now there were many Indian great social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Durga Ram Mehta, Behramji Malbari. They were the stalwarts, they were the strong figures to bring some change in our society for the good. And they played a great role which was instrumental in getting, means they were successful in getting the laws passed to ban this wrong system, and this was done with the help of Britishers. As the administrative framework, that is British office work, was done in English, so what they did was that they also started English education in a country. So as administrative framework in India was converted into English, that is it was anglicized, there was a demand for people with English education and knowledge. So English education began to be given to India or imparted in India due to Lord Macaulay's hard work, that is endeavour, and it was suggested, that is recommended by Charles Wood. Thus 3 universities were started initially, that was at Mumbai, Madras and Kolkata. And a whole class of people with English knowledge developed because of this English education. Many Indians picked up English education, and as the time passed, this group made demands to bring some reforms in our society, and this gave a speed, a momentum to the process of reformation. So we come to the conclusion, and that's the last part. Overall, let's see what happened. Thus the East India Company came to India being attracted, that is allured, by the richness and trade opportunity in India. And the company rule in India produced certain goods and bad result. So there were some advantages also of this company rule in our country, and there were so many disadvantages in the political field, economic, social and cultural fields. And the company adopted the policy of making England rich, but by destroying India, that is at the cost of India. And the reforms that they made in their administrative department for their own advantage, indirectly after this many years you could see that it proved to be beneficial, that is advantageous for India. Now the last slide over here shows you the textual questions. Now I'll be providing you notes, and in a PDF form it will be sent to your WhatsApp. But go through textual exercise very much perfectly. Learn and write. Don't write and write, or just don't learn and learn. It will be first step, learn perfectly, understand it, and second, write it down without looking. If you forget in between, revise it again, but when you write, it should be without looking. And if any query, give a call. Thank you so much.